King's Honor, friends, and welcome to episode 69 of the Titanforge podcast.
Mokhtar Ogar.
Some night elf quote.
My name is Dratnos. I'm joined by my friends Tettles and Trell. And this week we have some various different topics from a podcast you might describe as floundering for topics. But we've scrounged a few together. We're going to talk about we've got some current events and stuff. We've got some changes to water for healers. We got some changes to affixes. So we kind of got a whole show's worth of topics if you're not too picky about it, which we're not. So that's what's going to go on today. Real quick though,
me out of pre-patch.
Pre-patch content creation not particularly easy. It turns out this is particularly when the pre-patch goes on for 2 extra months. It's kind of a tough spot to be in. But it is made better by the beautiful fans such as Torrent6, who made us the new starting soon screen that you saw before we went live here today. So big shout out, thanks so much. Yeah, that much better than the one we threw together in Microsoft Paint. Somehow it surprises me because Microsoft Paint usually is just so reliable and foolproof.
So clean.
So clean. Another round of congratulations is owed to the winners of our beta key giveaway. Those have all been handed out a couple days ago. All 50 of them have been gone. Of course, I yoinked 30 of them for my alt accounts, my multi-boxers, but 20 of them were laundered out to the highest paying patrons. So that's of course not.
Oh, God.
Can you not say that, dude? Titanforge podcast is never getting beta keys again, man. Dratnos out here ensuring that it's never happening again.
So have you guys gotten your new transmogs from the transmog the sprite darter ones, the Fey dragon wings?
Yeah, and I made a great tweet about it as well because I knew it would tilt people.
I'm still on the fence on that one. I don't know if I want that associated with me.
But you're gonna look fantastic.
The fairy wing, the wings in general are cool. I do like that there's wings in the game now. For
There
sure.
were wings in the game previously. There was the Druid Blackrock Foundry transmog set that had wings on it.
Okay, true. And it's some trinket stuff. But now there's legit wing options, right?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of the look personally, but I have put it on temporarily because why not? But I probably won't be using it long term.
I went from the BlizzCon onesie to the
oh god
the
Wendigo. Dude, people were talking about it. I think it's a reasonable bet that this was meant to be the BlizzCon thing for this year.
WoW had data mined where it came from. It was supposed to come from some Dream Grove class order hall quest line.
Huh. No way.
Interesting.
Very interesting. All right. So other than that, what have you guys been up to in the past week? Tettles, I hear you've been doing something in Warlords of Draenor.
Hey, Dratnos, do you want to come speedrun Warlords of Draenor raid bosses with me one time?
Not especially, no.
I mean, that's what I've been doing. The pre-patch is really full of content. So I took to speedrun.com and tried to find something that I could get a world recorded that I could yoink pretty easily. And something stuck out to me. And it was Warlords of Draenor raid bosses in the lowest amount of time. And so I yoinked that for myself. There will be YouTube videos soon.
Are you actually on speedrun.com?
Yes.
World of War. Oh my god, this is
This is a world record holder.
Quadruple
threat TTV title.
Exactly.
This is completely insane. All right, all raids, warlords. There's one. All right, guys. Let me show. Let me show you guys the state of speedrun.com/wow hashtag all raids.
Patches. Click on the previous patches, asshole.
One Tettles.
Put some respect on my name. Click on the previous patches, dick.
All right, hang on. Previous patches. How do I do that? Okay. Season 1, there are no runs. Season 2.
Season.
Okay, all right. Season 5.5, season 5. 30. Okay, so you're saying that in... All right, I guess this is legitimate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations as well. Did you do it on Demon Hunter or did you do it on...
I did it on my Druid.
You did it on a High Mountain Tauren Druid. Incredible. Truly amazing. So there it is. TTV Tettles, world record holder in World of Warcraft. Congratulations, I guess.
There'll be a YouTube video coming out Monday.
In other news, what have you been up to,
Travis is
Trell?
just fucking astonished.
I saw you were live a couple hours ago doing some exciting keys.
Oh yeah, we did some Titanforge podcast Patreon keys earlier. That was a lot of fun.
Nice.
I got to lead some nice people through some 23s and 24s on bolstering, trying to CC everything and assign things to the whole group, as we go. It was super fun.
Oof. Bolstering.
The other stuff I've been doing this week though is just other random WoW stuff. Like I've been working on my UI. I actually practiced the Maw part of leveling, the first level. I'm so bored. I'm practicing leveling in Shadowlands.
You want to practice WoD dungeons?
Well, I don't have much of a leg to stand on here because I've been doing Lore Master of Outland quest lines. So
we're so cooked.
Somehow all three of us have found we're just trying to one up each other on the dumbest content to be doing right now. The dumbest ways to spend our lives.
Shadowlands. Please God, release this expansion. Get me out of here.
The sick part is, even if Shadowlands was on time, it still wouldn't be out yet. It would still be a couple days from now.
But I would be prepping, like doing.
Yes,
things, like,
and the pre-patch content, like the Shadowlands pre-patch event thing, would have actually started, which is still coming soon. So that is something to look forward to, I guess.
Is it this week?
I don't know, but it's soon. Happy to help.
God.
The premier World of Warcraft news show. In other news, we have Exorsus, a guild you may remember from such world firsts as Xavius in... Oh, this is the wrong thing. Okay, yeah, here it is. From such world firsts as Xavius and Gul'dan have faction changed to Alliance in order to get access to the Dwarf Racial to remove some bleeds, particularly on the Stone Legion Generals. That boss fight is a big pain without bleed removal. You can do it through a mechanic that the boss fight has itself, but that is a much, much bigger pain than doing it with a Dwarf Racial. So that's a powerful racial to have access to for that fight, and it looks like Exorsus are the first guild to pull the trigger on the faction transfer.
Do you expect that that's going to get changed to where Stone Legion General's bleed is not removable by Kyrian Potion and Dwarf Racial?
Okay, I think if the Kyrian Potion didn't remove it, that would be whack. That would be
pretty weird.
That's like the only good thing that Kyrian has going for it for many classes as a whole, is getting some incidental bleed removal in fights like that. Do I think that they would change how it interacted with Stone Form? Again, that would be weird. I feel like the more likely thing that they would do is like...
It's the exact same thing as Kyrian Potion, right?
Well...
Yeah, pretty much.
Nah, that's like buffing Kyrian versus buffing Alliance is two different things, right? That's... the Alliance isn't new, the Kyrian are new.
Well it works mechanically the same way, I think.
Yes, that's true. It would be hard to code it to be different, I guess, maybe.
Yeah.
Speaking of some people who have gone Alliance, it seems as if some of the Echo guys are going Alliance for like leveling speed because of the war mode buff.
Yes, so that's another thing. Alliance gets the better war mode buff, unless like it's not just coded into the game that Alliance has the better war mode buff, but it's like almost a guarantee.
Oh, it is.
It's effectively guaranteed unless there was not just like top end player swapping, but like a huge change in just how war mode functioned, which seems unlikely, but is not impossible. I don't know. I'm interested to see what happens with other guilds in the space here. I think that for other guilds competing for World First, there's definitely some pressure to be Alliance to have access to Stoneform, but you lose out on all the network that you've built on Horde side, and particularly for guilds like for exactly Limit and Echo. They have a substantial amount of like people that will be in their heroic splits, people that'll sell them cheap BOEs, people that'll do all kinds of stuff for them. I guess the cheap BOEs can maybe be accomplished cross faction, but like being in split raids cross faction is a lot less of a thing. So there's more of a cost, I'd say, for Echo and Limit than for Exorsus to swap to Alliance. But that being said, I think we will still potentially see that happen. I think that's something that may very much be a feature of this Race to World First.
I mean, how many characters do you think that these guys are going to make? Like for the first tier, it's going to be like
Many.
2 or 3. It's going to be 2 or 3, I think, right?
Yes. Okay. 3. I guess 3 Alliance characters is probably enough. Maybe.
That was a lot of characters for getting an expansion.
I mean, there's not really any grinds you need to do though, right? It's not like you have like a guy that you need to grind AP on.
That's true.
You get your renown levels or whatever, and your Torghasts and your legendary and your set. So there's a lot of free. There's going to be more free time in the first 4 weeks for top level players than there was in Legion or BFA, especially compared to Legion.
That's a good point.
I don't know. It's something to keep track of for sure. And yeah, I'm surprised that this happened this early. But those networking things we were talking about, it kind of makes sense to set your roots down now and get your networks built up a little early if that is going to be your plan. So maybe that's what's going on here as well with Exorsus.
You say that like they're actually going to play with anybody outside of people that are in their guild.
I mean, you like getting helper guys for your split runs has been a feature of the last several races.
That is a good point.
And community members that like help you with gold, right? Like they had tons of people from Gallywix at the time helping Method find BOEs, I think.
Yeah, that can be done cross faction. It can be. It just a little more annoying.
The gold acquisition is going to be weird because we've seen 2 raids in a row where Gallywix has played a pivotal. We saw 2 raids in a row where Gallywix played a pivotal role in loaning out like hundreds of millions of gold in BOEs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, there are new boosting communities that are like that exist, but none of them have the
that lucrative.
None of them have that scale.
Huge,
yeah.
None of them have that capital.
It's so weird, but like both organizations I just mentioned are now no more.
Yeah, Method and Gallywix. Yeah. It's been a wild time. Of course, there is the new Method Guild. Well, not new Method Guild, I guess, but the rebuild thing. But that contains 1 person from the original roster, so I think it is very reasonable to consider it a entirely new entity.
Yeah, just Sko.
I believe Sko is the only person
I think
on that
that's
roster
correct.
that has previously been on a Method roster.
Oh man,
I wonder how they're going to do.
I believe that their
stated goal. Pick up a guild, right?
Their stated goal is to be competitive by the end of the expansion for World First, and I believe that is ambitious. So either way, even if they're able to accomplish that, they're not trying to be competitive in first tier.
Just change your fucking name.
It's a common question. It's a common question, Tettles.
Good question, Tettles.
It's a question that one may have about other current events that have been going on Twitter recently as well. So it's just a common mystery.
Why not just change
That's true as well.
Fucking name?
Let's move to a main topic shaped thing. Another mini topic disguised as a main topic for people that could not find any main topics literally to save their lives. Let's talk a little bit about healers in Mythic Plus because we have some changes to how mana regeneration is going to happen in Schlans. Namely, water has been nerfed for healers such that it does not regen mana really much at all for the first couple ticks, for about 3 seconds. And Dark Moon Fish Feasts have been taken out back and shot. They will not be brought into this next expansion with us. So
they got the Lightfoot treatment.
Yeah, they haven't even got the Lightfoot treatment, have they? Or is there a new replacement thing?
There is. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It's just like a little bit better than normal food.
All right, so yeah, that's exactly the Lightfoot treatment, I guess.
Drums got removed from the game.
Yes. Well,
so something that's interesting about the water, basically, yeah, like Dretna said, you don't get any ticks of mana until you are seated and drinking for 5 seconds, which is an incredibly long time. And something that I have to wonder about is like, I wonder what this means for PvP as a whole, because if you think about it, like not even just the context of Mythic Plus, but sitting and drinking for 5 seconds before you get any mana return is actually insane for PvP as well.
I believe that's the goal here. I think the goal is to make it so that you can't just like sit and tap a drink for 3 seconds and regenerate a sizable amount of mana.
That's probably true.
But I don't know. I mean, I'm not a PvP scientist. You know, I collect my 2100 or whatever for PvE rewards when I need to, and that's the extent of my PvP experience.
Maybe it will make games go into dampening far less frequently, but I don't know. This seems really rough. Most notably for Mythic Plus healing, where it's like, so they add coming into this expansion, they add Prideful into the game, and you're like, oh hot damn, we have to use far fewer fish feats and stop and drinking far less often. And then they're like, JK, we're changing water and fish feast. Good luck.
Okay, to be fair on the removal of the sugar crusted fish feast point, sugar crusted fish feasts were dumb. It was dumb that these items were like super expensive, available to be farmed 1 week out of every 4, and like
Yeah, true.
they just like arbitrarily did a lot of extra healing from a previous expansion, and they scuffed your food buff unless you were using 1 out of 4 of the food buffs. Like, they were dumb. They were a band-aid. Now, that being said, you know, a band-aid can be bad, but if you just rip it off and there's just like a gaping wound underneath and you make that worse, like, okay, that is worse than the band-aid, but it's not like the band-aid was a perfect situation either.
Why not just buff the water to be like fish feast water?
I wonder if that's something they could do for Mythic Plus only. Like, just make it work whatever way you want to make it work to be nerfed in PvP, and then like make it better in PvE, right? Like that. I wonder how feasible that is for them, because I know that they have a lot of knobs that easily tune things to be different between PvE and PvP, and I wonder if like how Fish Feast function or how mana functions is one such thing.
It's because sitting there having to drink for 5 seconds to get 0 mana back is actually an insanely long time for Mythic Plus, especially since like sometimes after bosses you're fully tapped to 0.0% mana and you have to drink all the way to full. That is a long time they have to be seated drinking. Now
it's gonna be a problem too for like healers that are in pugs. There are a lot of things when you engage them, put the whole group in combat and just stop the healer from drinking right there. So the healer will like start drinking after the pack, and then the tank will pull something, and then they'll just be yoinked out like 3 seconds into their drink, and they won't have any more mana.
Yeah, fixate mobs, bosses that global combat you are some of those examples.
Yeah, there are a lot of changes that have, I think, the ideal effect, maybe in Blizzard's mind and maybe in an optimist mind, of slowing down and making Mythic Plus like a little bit more easy to manage. And I think that we could debate whether or not that's an admirable goal, but I don't think this actually accomplishes like a successful making of Mythic Plus less hectic. I think it just means that like life is going to suck more for healers, right?
Yeah.
Like, your tank is going to pull and you're going to be at 0% mana and you're going to be like, man.
Are there positives to this change? Like, can you really think of any like upsides to this change as a whole?
I think that if it's aimed at Mythic Plus and Mythic Plus isn't just like a bystander that's being shot because it's in the way of PvP or whatever, which is obviously something that happens from time to time for Mythic Plus. If it is actually aimed at Mythic Plus to some extent, I do think that it's got to be part of the same like AoE cap mindset of like, we would like to slow Mythic Plus down a little bit. Do you think it accomplishes that? So maybe. My suspicion is that it will not do that for top groups, because top groups will find a way to make the healers suck it up and live with it, right? And it will also not do it for low-level groups, because I've never, ever been in a low-level group where anybody has the heal... I've never been in a group where anybody... So below a 15 key, where it takes fewer than like 5 button presses to determine how much mana the healer has, right? Like, everybody I play with that's like a DPS player or a tank player in a 15 or lower needs to like open a spaceship menu to get access to their healer's mana bar, and otherwise it's completely hidden. We don't care about that kind of stuff.
What if they're trying to make healers use the drinkable mana potion now every 5 minutes? What if that was their goal, is that they want you to channel a mana potion in combat?
This is getting too big brain for me, man. This is too much.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's simple as they just did it for PvP to prevent easy drinks from the healers in LOS, but it just spilled over to Mythic Plus because Mythic Plus is not the priority.
Yeah, I mean, I believe it looks like a reasonable change to me for PvP, because like my limited experience with PvP, it has felt kind of weird how important like a 2-second drink can be to the outcome of a game. And so, like, nerfing a 2-second drink seems like a reasonable thing to want to do for PvP.
In PvP, you don't start regenerating mana until 3 seconds into your drink anyways.
Okay, 2 seconds or whatever, like a 4-second drink, whatever the number is that like they're nerfing here.
But you have to be out of combat, which is 8 seconds of not being hit by somebody first in PvP.
I don't know, man. I play these like druids and mages and stuff, and they're like they freeze me, and my melee brain is really really sad.
All right,
I just don't want to hit stuff, man. I don't know.
That's fair.
I'm not a PvP scientist, though. I do not have an opinion about whether or not it's good for PvP, really, because I have not PvP'd in 9 months, 10 months.
Yeah, fair.
The Prideful, at least, is there to give some mana regen. That's going to be nice for I don't know, for particularly, like, higher end groups, I guess, can make good use of that. Really pump a lot of the dungeon into the prideful buff.
I think even for lower level groups, they're just going to end up having 100% mana after you kill Pride every time. Like you're forced to fight Pride, you have to get it. So generally, you will not drink between like 2 or 3 pulls, and then you'll get Pride and you get refilled. Or once it gets to the point of tuning where you have a hard time killing the Pride, then you might run out of mana too early. That's the problem. But until then, I think it's actually good for low level groups too. There's just some weird point in the middle.
Yeah, I think right now, like Resto Shaman and Resto Druid seem like they're in a pretty advantageous spot now due to these mana changes, because both of those have some of the less mana, like the highest amount of mana efficiency.
Does Resto Shaman still have the whole like crit scaling their mana efficiency thing in Shadowlands?
I want to say their mana efficiency is worse in Shadowlands as a whole, but
they do have a new water shield. I think that's new, right? Where it just regens mana for them at a faster rate until they get hit by direct attacks, I think.
Basically, if Resto Shaman has to cast Healing Surge, they're gonna fucking oom, but that's about it.
Okay, yeah. I don't know.
They also have Mana Tide Totem. So they have 2 ways of regening mana outside of their normal regeneration. And Druid also has Enervate, so I think those 2 are the more efficient ones just because of that.
Yeah. Those 2 are definitely the most efficient. Now, does it end up mattering? I'm not 100% sure. I want Resto Shaman to be the meta Mythic Plus healer, though. I actually think that would be sick.
Yeah,
that'd be really cool.
I think they're fun to play with most of all.
That is a spec that has been on the outside looking in for the entire history of Mythic Plus as well, right? Like that, it's them and Holy Priest that have like never had a time in the sun.
Well, the reason that I want Resto Shaman to be good is because like I think that their utility suite just brings a lot for Mythic Plus as a whole, and I think that would be cool to play alongside one of them.
There's a confluence of factors as well that are looking good as well, like the range meta and Resto Shaman complementing that really well with their kick is like a really strong thing.
Resto Shaman does a fuck ton of damage right now too.
Good, glad to hear that. If they keep their tank healing abilities, I think they're going to be good.
They spam Chain Heal and Chain Lightning. That's literally it. They just alternate those abilities right now.
Very cool.
It's kind of sick.
All right, let's advance to our tip of the week segment. My tip of the week is for any streamers out there looking for some way to spice up your channel points. This is a tool that I've started using a little bit recently. It's called Trigger Fire, and that is spelled trigger, the word that you may know, and then fire is spelled wrong though. Fire is spelled F-Y-R-E, so Trigger Fire. If you want to look that up,
like that festival that got into a lot of controversy.
Sort of. That's with two middle letters. That was I think slightly differently spelled. Anyways, Trigger Fire with a Y instead of an I.
Fire Festival was F-Y-R-E.
Okay, all right. I remember hearing about that, but I don't actually remember exactly what was going on with it. Anyways, this is a tool you can use that if you're a streamer, you can set it up so that it will like play sound clips when people do channel point redeems or whatever, or video clips as well on your stream. So if you're looking for something cool you can do with your channel points, I've been using that recently. I've been enjoying it, and I would recommend it for streamers that are really out there trying to have some cool channel point rewards. You can yoink some audio clips. Just in this day and age, be careful of the copyright of where your audio clips are coming from. It's a scary time from the DMCA stuff that's going on. So do watch out for if you have any top 100 music or whatever. That's going to get you in trouble now, I guess.
Dude, I'm just gonna fucking leave up all my VODs and clips, and if they DMCA me, whatever.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I'm actively avoiding playing any DMCA stuff now, but I can't bring myself to delete all my old stuff.
That's how I feel about it.
Like if that means I can't be streaming on Twitch anymore, I don't know that.
Like let's think this through. If we get DMCA struck down, think about all the clout that we would get from complaining on Twitter.
That's true.
And then we just move our audience over to our YouTube channels, and then there is no way that this goes wrong.
There's absolutely no way that could go wrong. There's no way that courting a massive DMCA strike is a bad idea. I can't see anything bad coming of that either. Yeah, good call.
I can't see this.
Trell.
Boy, I'm glad that Twitch is helping us out with this.
But you didn't do anything. All right, Trell, what's your tip of the week?
Mine this week has to do with the water change too. So, everybody's been used to inviting their warlocks before their keys to get some hellstones because you need those in the keys sometimes. But now you also need to invite a mage for water for your healer, because I think the mage food still regens mana faster than normal food.
Now, in Shadowlands, you are actually allowed to keep the warlock in the group after you start the key, though, which is
that's true. Yeah,
pretty cool. Yeah,
they do decent damage right now, I think.
And I think you can keep the mage as well, so you could even have both of those and not have to do any invite kicking shenanigans.
Oh, hold on. Mage is about to get gutted into the ground. You got a week.
Let's talk about mage. Yeah. The highest single target class by a mile got buffed this week in the last build.
They were already the highest as well, right? And then they got buffed.
By a long shot.
They were like the second or third highest AoE class too, and the highest one, Marksmanship Hunter, got fucking just taken into the dirt. That legendary change for MM just gutted their AoE.
Yeah, I would advise against too much like doomsaying about like a good spec getting buffed or a bad spec getting nerfed on beta, because like maybe they're thinking a couple patches ahead for something that's already like they already have a plan for what they're going to do and they just need to code it.
Yeah, the mage changes are number tuning. The Marksmanship Hunter changes to their AoE is like legendary interaction.
Yeah,
so these are very different of like scalability.
Yeah, I think mage is going to get nerfed pretty hard. They might even over nerf it. They're so far in the spotlight. But Hunter is kind of like pretty sad about that change. I think the rogue tuning was good though, with the nerfs to the far overpowered deeper daggers conduit.
Yeah, now rogue has to play assassination. All rogues are on Suicide Watch.
Dude, I love assassination. Assassination's sweet.
Wreckful would be sad.
Dude, you got it. Shadowlands beta is basically just musical chairs, right? Just the classes are just kind of moving around. You're just hoping that when the music stops, you're in a good spot. And there's like,
it's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
There's not like a huge through line of if you were good, a month ago, are you good right now on beta? So
that's why you just shitpost on Twitter about
just make doomer memes on Twitter, I guess, about Boomkin and see how it all works out. But I guess that's my advice for anybody out there who's like worried about playing something that's super good is just, I don't know. Don't worry about it. Like
it's first patch of the expansion, everything's gonna be bad.
Yeah,
dude.
You can try and make an educated guess about it, but you don't try and do it now. Try and do it later, like closer to the expansion being released, and don't worry if you get it wrong. It's not going to be a big deal for the first patch of the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
Just be flexible, I think, is the big thing. If you're trying to play something good, be flexible to swap to that if that ends up not being you.
Yeah.
And if that's not your goal, then that's also totally cool. You don't have to want to just play a six pack.
There's nothing wrong with that.
And just play Moonkin all those.
I mean, something. Yeah, I don't care. Doesn't bother me any.
You too can get world records on anything. You can buck that Demon Hunter meta and get the world record WAD all raids clear.
Even if Moonkin is undertuned, like we still want Moonkins on our roster for like patches into the future anyways. There's nothing wrong with it being bad for one patch. I'm sure it'll come back around anyways. So.
Yeah, for almost all players, you are going to be better off picking at least like any of the specs that aren't just like in the dumpster for whatever content you're doing. Like as long as you're not one of those, just playing something that you're good at and that you know and that you have some experience with is going to work out really well for you. And not stressing too much about a swap. But if you're trying to develop that multi-classing muscle, that's also a really good thing to try and do if that's something you're going to have fun with. So do that if it appeals to you. Let's look at a clip of the week. Today we have a Tettles Effect clip of the week. This is
yes.
This is a classic Tettles Effect.
Oh, what could go wrong here?
It caught me off. Okay, first off, it caught me off guard that he died, and I was like, "Wait, what killed him?" And then it was just like, "Oh, I killed him." Oh no!
I had thought we were at the end of clips of Tettles murdering his team on Heartsbane Triad, but somehow there's a new way for this to happen.
Can you imagine if I annihilated like the fucking if I got MC'd and annihilated the tank or something?
Yeah, you could annihilate the whole group if you got MC'd, right? And you had your protocol down. Yeah.
Can you imagine? That'd be sick change.
Yeah, for those listening, he was using Purification Protocol Major, which has a small chance of insta-killing the mobs that it's hitting every second, and it insta-killed his teammate during the mind control.
Yeah, it's a completely absurd effect and very emblematic of the Tettles Effect. That is exactly the Tettles Effect.
How is life like this? I'll never understand.
All right, let's get to main topic number 2, which is Affix changes. This is, I guess, mostly explosive is the big name Affix change that we've got going on here. But explosive got gutted, completely demolished, turned from
Finally.
a hard affix into kind of a non-affix, kind of a healer affix at this point.
Yep.
So their health has been reduced, and it also no longer scales with key level, and they play a sound effect when you kill them. Which
Wait, I didn't know that.
You know, poggers.
Yeah, I still haven't heard that, but someone did tell me that earlier today.
Yeah, basically now their health has been reduced to where if you have any dots with any initial damage, corruption, moving into Shadowlands, Moonfire, Sunfire, Shadow Word Pain, any of that shit, just Frost Shock as well. Also just one-shots every single explosive orb. So you're able to very easily kill all explosives.
Even,
or you just say,
even the tiniest
healer.
abilities. True, healer. Even the tiniest abilities for tanks that you only use to tag mobs initially, like Crackling Jade Lightning, Death's Caress on DK, that stuff one-shots orbs now.
Heroic
Almost.
Throwing Throw Glaive does too.
Yeah, that stuff's so nice as a tank because there's like a million times I can remember on explosive weeks where I can just see an orb 30 yards away while I'm kiting and doing nothing, but I can't do anything about it. And now I can actually kill that orb, and I can kill several with Jade Lightning as well. So I'm like really, really happy about this change. Also, you can just kill any orbs with auto attacks if you're any kind of tank or melee class.
Yeah.
Don't spend the ability on.
It's weird because like I don't know. You'd think that maybe it makes the affix feel too easy, but like it doesn't. It just feels good that you can just target the orb and it can die, and you don't have these spots where you try everything you can and you just can't kill a stupid orb.
Before this came out, Squishy DM'd me a screenshot of of current live orb HP, and he was like, "Moonfire does this much. Explosive has been nerfed. How much health do you think Explosive has?" And I go, "I don't know, probably 75% of this amount." He goes, "No, lower." I go, I don't know, just half as much. He goes, "No, even lower." I go, "The same damage as Moonfire." He goes, "No, half that." I was like, "What the fuck is this?" I was like, "What is this change?" It actually caught me so off guard how hard they nerfed it.
Yeah,
I'm so happy about this.
One wonders.
Actually,
it was like a literal 90% nerf.
It's just gonna finally make the affix how we've wanted it forever. I think like everybody wanted them to have basically a one shot on every ability in the game. So it's still distracting to the group. It still presents a challenge, but it's a fun mini game instead of like an increasingly scaling hell where you can't kill orbs and it takes 4 globals to kill them as a tank.
And explosive orbs can still spawn far, and it's still a challenge to be able to kill them before they explode off on your group. And they still do a considerable amount of damage to your party, so they're still deadly. They're just not impossible to deal with by 80% of the specs.
Yeah, that for me, that was the most offensive part, was how different the experience was trying to kill orbs as an Afflock versus as an Outlaw Rogue. And like, it's okay for specs to have strengths and weaknesses against affixes, but it felt egregious, the difference between some of the outliers against explosive orbs. I was advocating for it to be like the totem system in PvP, where they don't have like a health pool, they just need any 2 direct hits to kill them. And Blizzard's basically done that, but with any 1 direct hit is effectively what this change is here. So
I'm okay with this.
Yeah, I'm fine with this as well. I mean, to me, the challenge of explosive orbs should be like identifying them, targeting them, being efficient with targeting them, not having 2 people try and kill the same one, noticing them in far spots. And the challenge with explosive orbs shouldn't be like, do you have the correct button to actually dump a bunch of damage into this stupid thing? Do you have the correct composition to be able to kill explosive orbs like that? And that, like, are you off global so you can sink 3 globals into this stupid thing before it explodes instead of 2?
Does this make explosive more reliable to be a push week, or do you think that it still is too much?
I think explosive can absolutely be a push week now. I don't know, Trell, what do you think?
I think so, yeah.
Because healers are going to be able to one-shot, like Disc and Resto Druid, and are going to be able to Holy Paladin is always able to one-shot them. All going to be able to just clap explosives.
Yeah, explosive has become a healer affix and a push week affix at the same time. So healers never get to have a push week where it's not just healer affixes, like bursting or whatever is, a healer affix and a push week affix.
Man, it's not a healer affix. It's always explosive has always been and always will be whoever has the least amount going on at that very moment and is able to hit the orb. most efficiently. So like usually it's a tank and melee DPS. You don't want to spend a GCD on the orb. You just want to auto attack it. That way you don't lose any damage at all.
Yeah, and Enchanted Emissary wasn't a healer fix either.
Yeah, look, from my perspective, the healer can
It
either
wasn't.
kill the orb or they can heal us. I don't care which they pick, but they're gonna have to do one of those two things because I'm not touching that thing anymore. I killed explosive orbs all of BFA, 0 in Shadowlands.
It's
Never
I mean,
again.
one thing for sure is it shouldn't be a caster affix unless literally nobody else in the party can get it. And
Right,
then
that's
it's
the
either
thing.
the healer or the
It's
caster.
still worse for like if you have an Afflock, it's still worse for them to hit that. Actually, unless they like get a benefit of draining off of it, right?
On single target, they were going to want to drain it.
Yeah.
On single
So-
target, it's that Legion shit where they're like, "Fuck off, this is mine, bro.
Yeah, I remember that
Fuck
actually.
off, don't touch that."
Do they play that the Wrath of Consumption legendary? Is that thing?
I don't know.
Okay,
Maybe.
because they have that artifact trait thing back as a legendary. I don't know if it's I don't know how good it is though for them in M+.
But they did do that shit in Legion. They may end up doing it again in Shadowlands.
Yeah,
True.
Especially now that a Drain Soul actually kills it reliably. Because I remember in Legion, sometimes you'd like drain for 4 seconds and it would barely die right at the end. And you're like, ugh. That was close.
But you still tell your whole entire group to mess off. And don't
Yeah, I
touch
mean,
it,
obviously the rest of the group can't touch that. That's a damage increase for you.
Yeah.
All right. It does kind of make you wonder a little bit about we've had Bursting get a huge kind of rework, great set of changes. Grievous, Quaking earlier this expansion, Sanguine, Volcanic have both, I think, had excellent reworks and like redesigns of where the actual interesting difficulty should be and where the like stupid stuff is. And it makes you wonder about two kind of elephants in the room, Bolstering and Necrotic, that are just kind of they're kind of equally as annoying as they have been for 4 years. In Necrotic's case, kind of even more because it's not a magic effect anymore.
Where are the changes to Bolstering and Necrotic? It really does make you wonder. Okay, so like Bolstering, I think I don't want to say I could understand why you wouldn't want to change Bolstering because it is playable. Like you are able to play around it. Necrotic feels a little egregious to not have had changes at all yet.
Yeah, Necrotic's insane, man.
It's just so rough for tanks, a class of people that are already so like hard to get into M+. Yeah. And the bolstering thing as well is like I don't know how much this is just my experience, but for me, I can do like 2 weeks before 2 keys before I'm exhausted on bolstering week. And like on most other weeks, I can do like 30 keys before I'm exhausted. Explosive week back when I was like the solo orb killing outlaw rogue or whatever, that also was like two keys and I'm exhausted. And all of beguiling that wasn't enchanted weeks was like that as well. But other than that, it's just bolstering. That's like you just go into keys and you're just like, man, I don't actually want to do this all day, right? Like this is rough. This is exhausting.
Chet makes a great point too. The target cap being introduced with bolstering being present is actually awful.
It's so bad because it's not a random 5 targets. It's the closest 5 targets for most of these effects. So you just like it's.
I mean, it's also
just gets uneven. Like, you can't control it very well.
I mean, it's also very problematic for shit like the first area in Necrotic Wake. I've noticed it be so hard to deal with, like that first area in Necrotic Wake without accidentally just body pulling a pack. Same with like Sanguine Depths. It's like the odds of you accidentally just body pulling a pack whenever the rest of the pack is at 50% health, I find is like really, really complicated sometimes. And it's like, oh great, now I have a fully bolstered mob.
I actually don't mind the whole like don't accidentally pull stuff being incentivized by bolstering. I don't find that to be as offensive as like for me the problem with bolstering is just like you can play well around it. Like if you play like 90% effectively against bolstering, it's still such a pain. You have to be like approaching 100%.
You have to be perfect.
Yeah, for it to not actually like screw you over.
Yeah, so I almost expect that bolstering and Necrotic are likely to get changes soon.
It's just surprising to me.
It would just be so weird for them to not.
For bolstering in particular, like it feels to me like that should be something that a lot of people like. Am I out of touch? Is this not actually something that is a pain in low keys or something? This is not something you run into in a weekly 10. I don't know. I feel like for me personally, bolstering is like worse in the low keys because like you just cannonball out. You kill 5 Tide Sage Initiates and you're like, oops.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
dude,
a 30-foot tall Enforcer now. Oops.
We're kind of out of touch because we always play in groups that have like voice and are like actively trying to not bolster the hell out of a whole entire pack. And then it's like if I was playing in a group without voice, you just blast the pack and you're like, big mob. It's like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to hear some perspectives, maybe in the comments or whatever of the videos.
Cedric makes a good point in chat. Bolstering should be the damage part and not health.
I like that. Yeah,
I agree.
Because it allows you to kill the bolster. It allows you to kill the mob. The problem is that you can't kill the mob if you bolstered up too high.
I think that if the stack had a duration as well, and like it refreshed when you gave it a new stack or whatever, but like at least it had an end in sight where you kite the thing for 20 seconds as your penance for accidentally bolstering something 10 times.
Oh, as opposed to just wiping it for no reason?
Yeah, because like, man, just wiping it, that sucks. I feel like there are a couple of good things they could do against bolstering. There are a lot of answers that would work for that affix that I think would preserve the right way to play versus the wrong way to play against it, and just make it like half as punishing to do it the wrong way, because it's so punishing to do it the wrong way.
Agree. You know, the other thing is necrotic is going to be pretty bad in these dungeons because there are more fervent strike like mechanics than in BFA. Like they kept that mechanic where any kind of tank hit will just target the nearest target if the tank's out of range. Many bosses do it too, and they've added more than in BFA. So the fact that necrotic is still in the game just how it's been forever is such a problem. It's so contradictory to how the game is designed. Like you have to kite, but you're not supposed to kite at the same time because of the mechanics.
What is the deal with the bosses having fervent strikes? Like, what is that shit? It's so annoying, man.
I honestly think they don't intend for bosses to have those kinds of mechanics because they increase their movement speed. Like bosses are really fast for some reason, and lots of mobs too are for some reason too. But I think they changed their like base mob design to just have a fervent strike like mechanic.
Like when they just create the mob template, it just has a fervent strike in it when they put it in the file.
Exactly.
That could be it.
Like the third boss in Spires of Ascension, his tank hit being a fervent is so weird to me.
They changed that one. They either increased its range by a lot or they stopped it. So that's why I think it's part of their template.
That one was egregious because you wouldn't even be out of like melee range of the boss, and he would just fucking blast your rogue.
Yeah, like, the nice part about rogues is that rogues actually can live fervents, right? Like you can evasion it, you can cheat it, right? But man, imagine being like a other melee
anybody else
in the Shadowlands dungeons and like the fervent strikes, man. Even DHs, because you can't blade dance it anymore, right? You can't even death sweep it. You gotta blur it or nether it or something.
Yeah.
Evade somewhere being upset again.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what's going on, I guess, with affixes. I'm happy about the explosive change, and to be fair, like good changes to 5 affixes or whatever, you know, that's good, right? That's good to happen, and you know, we're not trying to like rake them over the coals for not changing 2 affixes. Like to me, it sticks out a little bit, but like this is still way more good stuff happening to affixes in Shadowlands than I was expecting. So
it makes the dungeons more fun to play on bad weeks. Like there's always going to be push week, right? There's always going to be a push week. There's always going to be a best week. Now the delta is getting smaller between like the best weeks and the worst weeks, and honestly, the worst weeks aren't terribly unfun to play anymore.
Dude,
which is before.
Do you remember some of those void weeks, man? Some of the void weeks with like old quaking tyrannical void teaming or whatever.
I was just fucking not playable.
Yeah, I mean
what was the necrotic? There was like a necrotic week in season 3 that got changed to something else, but I don't remember what it was. But it was just like I zone into one key that necrotic week, and it was just fucking instantly awful. It was because it was also I want to say it was like a tides week too.
Oh, that's when they added the bursting necrotic week, I think.
I don't think it was the bursting. It was the one that was before that. It was something else.
Oh.
I was like, oh my god, dude, get me out.
Yeah, anyways, I agree with you. My stance is on Mythic Plus weeks, much like class balance, is there's always going to be a best, there's always going to be a worst, but it really matters what the difference is between those, and particularly where that like middle of the pack is and how fun that all is.
Yeah, I think that these are moving away from unfun and annoying to slightly better, even though there is always going to be a best.
Yeah. All right, that's our main topics for this week. We are going to do some Q&A. We have some good Q&A stuff to talk about. But first, let's thank our supporters over at patreon.com for making our show possible. They are Paul of US Proudmore. Do we do 69 or do we just skip it? Says Trell. That's a quote 69. From Trell.
We ended up doing
Dude, I was thinking about calling it a Titanforge podcast, episode 68, chapter 2 or whatever, episode 2, like
Part
Half-Life does. Yeah.
The epilogue.
Yeah. Your fans will be disappointed if you don't give them 69. We did that. Delete DH. The cards predicted I'd be an MM hunter. I'm sorry.
Oh,
King of Skills, Zuko, Ja, Drunksfeed from Legion of Lemmings, Argent Dawn EU. I Wish I Was Dratnos' Dino Pillow, Chromed, Seraphicus, Trekkie, the Marsh Hare, Regulus, Nevernude, Chewy. Tettles stands for the Ex-Terrorist Tempering Law Enforcement System. Lufer. Yeah. Ziv XX, Van Heelen of Second Attempt, Sen of US Kill Jaden, Daz Boot, Better Mage Lead Than Tal. Brought to you by Dratnos the Excel Wizard, Brad Ceratops, Gino, the 24th best DH on Thrall, Necris, Will Blizzard care about balance, class identity, and agency? Shadow Priest can pump if you chain pull, just give him a chance. Nevuk, Sinmora, Eevee, Frosty K New Meta. Stevenson doesn't like bothering coworkers on the weekends, so if you guys could do it and let Gino know there's no rush on that project at work, because I finally got beta access, so I'm taking days off this week. Take Light of the Protector and Rage Regen off the GCD. Woe Bonesy No Verse, No Trick. Vamp of Storm Rage, Ion Schedule to Tettle's Flame. Farewell Balance Druid, Hello Warlock. C, Dymat. Syncope, Gamer Dad in Training. Anubara and Vin. Heltari, Ishio. Dream Team can time any key as long as it's Junkyard. Hanny is going to pump in Shadowlands. Nyx, Xylic. My brother needs to play more and stop being a noob. Flick thinks Mort needs to reroll from balance. Gallic, Brusif, and Chewy. And we may have, if you're not on this list, we had a lot of influx to our server for the giveaway that we ran this week. So just ping us, just at Tettles.
The giveaway actually just ruined our Patreon bot, so I couldn't tell who joined or left. So if something is wrong, just ping me.
Yeah, just ping Tettles. And if you have any problems with any names that get read out as well, Tettles is the moderator of those. So again, just take up any problems you have with Tettles.
Why did you say my name like 6 fucking times?
Let's move on to Q&A. We have our first question comes from Llama in Discord. Do you think the target cap on AoE is going to force the meta towards even more of a burst AoE situation and thus negate the perceived power of these specs without capped AoE? Or will it push the meta more towards a consistent AoE damage meta?
That's a good question. I think for MDI, it's going to be burst classes, and for super high keys on live, it's going to be sustained AoE.
I don't know if I believe that. I think right now, I think the burst AoE is still going to be a better profile for live keys, and the reason for that is because I feel like the trash actually just fucking gets smoked. I haven't played since the MM Hunter nerf, so maybe that is going to end up changing my opinion a little bit. But I feel like as somebody who plays like a class that does take a while to ramp up, like the stuff that just bursts really hard, like the MM Hunters, like Frost Death Knight, shit like that, actually just will randomly delete a pack, and you're like, well, I popped my cooldowns at a bad time. I don't really know what I'm doing here.
But guys, my Sunfire is still ticking. Why is the mobs dead?
Me and my dots over here, bro. But like, so say the mobs do end up lasting a long time, like Trell said, consistent damage is always going to be better because it'll end up being tuned higher.
Yeah, there's a synergy as well with the burst damage and Prideful, right? Like if you're going into a big pull and you've got a Prideful buff, that is it is nice to have your damage be front loadable there.
This is right too. Like Prideful leads to that situation, and there's also other things in the dungeons. Like there's all kinds of dungeon buffs that give you more damage or stun the mobs, and you want to kill them in those burst windows, like the urns on the other side or the spear in spires. Both stun them off for 10 seconds and make them take 20% more damage. So
ultimately, it depends on how long the trash packs are going to last, and if you're actually able to kill them within the damage window, because then like those specs fall off really hard outside of their burst damage cooldowns. But like if everything is able to be killed inside of your offensive CDs, then you're going to prioritize burst over sustain. So it really just kind of depends.
So
historically, what Trell said is correct, though.
All things being equal, given the same amount of DPS, burst is always a better quality for damage than sustained, right? The thing is that the sustained classes are often able to put out more total DPS over like a 1 minute window, for instance, than a burst DPS spec is. But that's tuning dependent, right? Always, if you could choose for the same damage, you'd want it to be burstier. And
because right now in BFA, like whenever you would be doing like a normal key, packs would typically live somewhere in like the 45 second to 1 minute range, depending on the pack or the pull, if you're doing like difficult content. And Shadowlands, maybe Trell. Trell's been doing higher level keys nice, so maybe he knows this more. But like the longest trash pack I've seen live is like 20 to 25 seconds, and I'm just like, well, this is kind of annoying.
Yeah,
There's
it's
a lot
actually
of trash that gets insta-killed.
It's pretty eye-opening if you play without any of the like super overtuned classes or bugged specs that people are abusing. Like on pulls yesterday on Tyrannical on 15, we actually had pulls lasting like 30 to 45 seconds, even on Tyrannical. So
okay, so maybe it is like a byproduct of there being people who are playing like really meta shit and like really overtuned stuff, that it's like
unethical
making
gamers.
Making some of the dungeons feel a little bit
38
ridiculous.
sockets. Yeah,
like I respect having fun, but it really just makes it you don't really learn much because everything dies in like 10 seconds. Bosses die in a minute. You don't really see multiple phases. You don't see mechanics.
That always blows my mind whenever bosses die in a minute. I'm just like, I don't really know what to do here.
Yeah.
All right, next question comes from Clever Unicorn from Twitch chat. Can Cyclone cancel the effect of bolstering? AKA, if the mob is cycloned, will it not be bolstered if another mob dies near it at the time?
Yes.
Yes, Cyclone is strong against that kind of effect. You can do this with mind control as well, but the mob needs to have no stacks of bolstering, and then you mind control it before it would get the first stack, and then it's on your team, and the stacks don't get applied to it.
Yeah, you can do it with Banish as well, but banishable mobs are few and far between.
So those are certainly some options for counterplay there. Next question comes from Buster28, who asks, at Tettles, are teaming and skittish still in the game, or were they removed with pre-patch when all the rest of the affix changes went in?
Those two got removed. Which
is inspiring and storming and stuff in pre-patch or no?
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
I
like are
have
the
no fucking idea.
Yeah, I actually have no clue what the answer is to this question. So
I think skittish and teaming are still active in BFA or pre-patch Shadowlands right now because the Shadowlands affixes this week. I'm sorry, the beta affixes this week are Raging something.
Raging Explosive, yeah.
Like Raging Explosive, and the live affixes are Bolstering Explosive. So it's actually a
was
different
Bolster Explosive a beta affix?
I can't remember.
Hold on, checking DMs.
Dude, Bolstering Explosive has been that's been an affix combo for a very long time.
Bolster Explosive Tyrannical was the first one that we had on beta. Next week will be Sanguine Necro Fort, then it'll be Bolster Quaking Fort, then we'll have Inspiring Necrotic Tyrannical.
Okay, so we'll know in 4 weeks whether or not we get Inspiring or a teaming or skittish thing?
Yes, I think.
My guess is that it'll be teaming and skittish until Shadowlands. But
I think so too.
It's completely unfounded. I have no idea what the answer is to this one.
I think there's a chance though that they applied the Inspiring aura to just the same mobs they put Vested on if they still have that data.
Yeah, I guess they could. They'd have to pick some to get Inspiring in Junkyard and Workshop, but you could just pick some at random. Yeah, I don't know. These are the mysteries. Anyways, that's our Q&A segment done here, and with that, our show will reach its end this week as well. We'll be back next week with whatever topic we can scrounge up. Please,
Twitter drama.
Oh my goodness, the Twitter drama will take anything at this point. Just any topic, man, any content. Please, some content manifest itself for us for our next show. That's all we ask. But for now,
we got nothing.
Just give us something.
That's the end of our show this week. Later, everybody.